Hey everybody, it's Tall Trey here with another episode of Comedy Manners with your co-host,
Azalea Renee.
and our special guest, Bryce Cannon.
It's the Frat Daddy Bryce Cannon. Come on, Trey.
Ooh,
And today we are talking about character work.
nice. So sit back, relax, and learn a little something about character work.
Why am I here again?
Alright everybody, we are here with the Frat Daddy Bryce Cannon, as well as Azalea Renee to talk about character work. But first, let's go over some of the many accomplishments you've done. I know you recently won the GIPW championship
Rest in peace.
in front of a record-setting crowd.
12.
Well, also let's set up that Bryce is not one of our normal comedian guests that we usually have. So why don't you tell our audience what you actually do?
Yeah, so I do pro wrestling. So how that relates to comedy, it's actually pretty simple, you know. I mean, there's crowd working, there's, you know, going over exactly the material you want to do. So I'm excited to be here, excited to, you know, talk, answer questions, whatever you guys have for me, and just have a little fun today. You know?
Definitely excited to have you.
Because we all deal with the same things. It's just y'all encourage hecklers.
Right. If especially us, if we're not getting heckled, then we're not doing our job right. Or if y'all are getting heckled, then you're not doing your job
Yeah.
right. So it's one of those things, because when I first got into it, my parents were like, so like, do you enjoy getting booed? I'm like, absolutely. I was like, that's what I want, you know, if they're cheering me, I don't want that, you know, I want tomatoes thrown at me and things like that.
Or lemons.
Okay, yeah, there we go. There we go, yeah.
And for those of you that can't see, Bryce actually does make the best out of a bad situation. At one wrestling event, somebody got so mad they chucked a lemon at him, hit him square in the neck, and somebody got a photo of it. He turned it into a t-shirt and put that money in his pocket.
That's right. You know, I mean, that's just what it takes. It's not being afraid to be, you know, the receiving end of a joke, whether that's in, you know, stand up or the wrestling world. You know, I made an easy $500 off of this shirt, and I could have just said, "Oh man, someone threw a lemon at me," and went about my day. But instead, I saw an opportunity there because everybody was talking about it. Because we put a video out of it, and people were just messaging me, "Oh my God, that's awesome, that's awesome, that's awesome." So I was like, you know what? I feel like people will buy a shirt. And they did. So I was happy with the results of it.
Yeah, and comedy and wrestling have had several crossovers. There was, you know, Jon Stewart. There was Drew Carey, you know, and of course the greatest villain wrestler of all time, Andy Kaufman.
Right. Yeah, I mean, Andy, he's an inspiration. I just kind of stole one of his things not too long ago at Platinum Championship Wrestling with the whole neck brace situation. You know, he took such a simple move from Jerry Lawler, where I took a choke slam from Austin Towers, come out later in the night, which, okay, a choke slam from Austin Towers is very vicious.
Austin Towers is bigger than I am.
Right.
Like, that is a huge human being.
Right. I've taken several of them, so my body's callous to it. So, not really, but so later on in the night, I had a contract signing, so I come out with crutches, the Andy Kaufman neck brace, everything like that, and just, you know, I thought it was funny, and I thought, you know what, this is gonna get a reaction out of people, so why not do it? Yeah, it's gonna make me look stupid as hell, but you know, if it gets a reaction, it's totally worth it. And I mean, that's just like the lengths I'm willing to go is, what's going to get a reaction out of these people, whether it's making me look like a complete idiot or making me look like a complete star, you know? It's just one of those things. It's, you got to find your territory. And some guys, unfortunately, just aren't comfortable with doing that. And so they're always asking us, you know, how are you guys so over? What are you guys doing for success? And it's just, go out there and get a reaction. Easier said than done, though.
Oh, truly. But, you know, the worst thing you can hear in stand-up comedy is silence.
Right.
You know, and the same with wrestling, unless you're in Japan.
Right.
As long as they're giving you some sort of noise, even if it's a groan, even if it's them disagreeing with you, you're learning and you're going to do better for the next joke or the next match.
Right. And I mean, it's like in stand-up, it's crowd work. You know, we all got in professional wrestling, or we all got into comedy because we grew up watching it. We grew up feeling some form of emotion out of it. So when I'm in the ring, especially, like, I remember going back to when I was like 6 years old, 8 years old, in the crowd, you know, watching matches and things, and just thinking like, oh man, that dude just told me to shut up. That was so cool. Or I hate that guy for telling me to shut up. Or, oh, that guy just gave me a high five. Like, I felt something out of it. So if I can make either the 80-year-old in the crowd, the 7-foot-tall jerk that's heckling everybody feel a type of way, or even that small child feel a type of way, I've done my job, you know. And so when there is silence, I don't mind that either, because it gives me a creative juice in my head as I'm in the match thinking, okay, how do I draw these people back in? It helps me creatively.
Yeah, and y'all are so creative with it. It's not just, oh, there's a lull, let me make the crowd clap along.
Right.
You know, and verbally sparring with y'all, because I started going to GIPW after a horrible breakup and, like, lost my house, lost my friends, had nothing. Mm-hmm. And came there, and Jesse, as well as a few of the rest of y'all, just, oh, you're family, come on.
Right.
We do this every month, come on.
Right, and that's the thing, is like, if we got our locals, we know who we can kind of push the limit with a little more, and that actually helps us too, because, you know, say there's a first timer coming to the show and they see that we're just pounding you with insults and everything, they're like, oh my God, I don't want that to happen to me, but I kind of want to come back next month to see who else they pick on type deal. So we appreciate the diehards that, you know, come and watch us when there's 200 fans there or 12. You know, we joked about it a little earlier with the GIPW crowd and everything, and after winning that title in front of such a small crowd, I went completely off script, grabbed the microphone, and kind of just expressed myself of, you know, I take the crowd size personal, you know, and we all should, whether it's, you know, your shows or whether it's a professional wrestling show. It's all about promoting. It's all about putting our work out there and seeing the fruits of our labor. And the fruits of our labor are people in the seats, you know?
Yeah.
So to see such a small crowd, it sucks. But at the same time, do I look at it and say, oh, this sucks, I'm done here? Or do I say, okay, this sucks, let's make it better. What can we do to grow this crowd type deal? And I felt like the promo that I cut, and I hate calling it a promo because it was it was from
Pipe
me.
bomb?
Right. It was from me. So I hate that I didn't get to see what would have happened at the October show, because I felt like the crowd did receive what I actually said.
Yeah, and I missed that one. There was some other static going on to where I couldn't be there. Somebody got a little too assertive with a veteran friend of mine, and yeah, that's my boy. We went and got shot at together, you know. And GIPW did have a great attendance. Y'all had promotion, is that the right word for the group? That spanned years. Y'all had hundreds in the building.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy because at that same VFW in Warner Robins, I mean, when we first started running there, we kind of transitioned from, I'm blanking out, what was the bar?
There was the Thirsty Turtle.
Thirsty Turtle in Macon. So once we transitioned from the Thirsty Turtles to the VFW, we were still in the process of Exotic Youth versus West Coast Kings, Austin Towers and Aaron Black, which was probably one of the most fun feuds I've had in my wrestling career, because it was just, number one, it was violent, there were storytelling aspects to it, and the crowd was super invested in it, because we brought tag titles into it, so there was a prize worth getting at that point, you know. And I bled buckets.
Oh, I remember. You crawled towards me bleeding and crawling, and I'm just like, oh dear, this is very familiar.
Well, I had just started dating my girlfriend at the time during that period, and so we were in that street fight, and I remember telling Aaron in the back, hey, I'm gonna crawl up to her and get in her lap, and I just want you to pound my head in and just make that blood gush.
So you're really testing if she's, you know, ride or die or not.
She is just like hands up, freaking out, like, oh my God, what am I into? Because it was like one of her second shows that she ever attended. So that was her introduction to indie wrestling.
Nice. So I got a question. With this, like, how do you get yourself into the character before the show? Like, what is some of the things that you do?
It's funny because I'm going to give you an answer that you probably wouldn't expect. I just don't think about it.
Okay.
Like, I think about the match. I think about what I want to do as far as like move wise, like how I would like to go into it. But as far as the character work, I'm such an improv person.
Mhm.
I don't want to go out there and expect to do something and then it fall flat. I would much rather go out there, do something on a whim that's going to get a reaction after feeling out what that crowd is like and everything like that. Because you have your different crowds. You have your ones that are what we call super indie crowds, which they just want to see you flip and, I mean, move as quick as you can and get blown up. And then there's other crowds where they just want to be interacted with, where I can punch one guy, walk to the other side of the ring, and just talk trash. And it's just a slow pace. But as far as like the character, I'm in a place where luckily I really don't have to think about it because I am comfortable with it. At the beginning, I was over stressing it, I would say, because I'm like, okay, what's going to fit in? What are people not going to like? Now I just don't worry about it because it's not about what people like and don't like. It's what's going to make a reaction out of them type deal, if that makes sense. Which at the end of the day, I guess it's what they don't like and like. But I'm not thinking about that when I'm out there. I'm just thinking, okay, this person looks like an easy target. I'm going to go after them. Oh, there's a child right there. Let me raise my paddle at it and frighten them. And then now everybody hates me type deal. And then we also have in the wrestling business what we call cheap heat. Oh, this town sucks. Oh, your football team sucks. Oh, they're going to lose today. I'm better than you. And then people hate you automatically. I don't like taking that approach. I like making it personal with people. Like, I'm terrible with names, but the ones, they were in a car accident.
Oh,
And
yeah,
she
Alicia
lost-
and Anthony.
So they're super cool. And Alicia, she's a fighter. She lost her legs in was it a motorcycle accident or?
It was a brutal accident. Like, I've known Alicia since we were 5. Like, we have baby pictures together. Right. But her and her husband were out on a motorcycle ride, and a drunk driver hit them, and they didn't have their paperwork, we'll say. So they left the accident. And Anthony's unconscious. She's unconscious and pinned between the motorcycle and the truck, and it catches fire. Mm-hmm. And thankfully, she's unconscious for it. She lost both her legs. Anthony had a 2-year fight with infections to keep his leg. Mm-hmm. But she has such a positive attitude about it. Like, you know, I left my other legs at home. Mm-hmm. Let's kick it. Like,
right. And so that's kind of where I was going with that. And it kind of ties back into like the whole local, diehard fan. Because they were always at the shows and everything. So, like, right after they kind of got out of the hospital after that, I remember them coming to the show and everything. And they loved to boo us. And so, I'm the type of person, like, I will get approval on people that I know, like, hey, can I pick on you about this, pick on you about that? And she rolled up to us, because she was in a wheelchair, and was like, please heckle me. Please, come at me with all you got. I'm not going to get hurt, type deal. So, I mean, we walk out there, you need to give us a standing ovation, yada, yada, yada. And just stuff like, and I mean, there were people, you could tell it was their first time, and they're just like, Jesus Christ, like what, like, how are they talking to these people like that? So one time, we said it to her, and she used her arms and pushed up and like she was standing at us, and I just remember falling backwards and like freaking out and everything, and the crowd was going crazy. But it's just like little stuff like that, and it's the kids will buck up at us and we'll jump back and stuff like that. It's just, it's not what's funny, but it's like I said, what's going to get that reaction. And it takes time. Like I would say the moves and the agility in the ring, that's the easy part. The character,
I don't know. I've seen your moveset. That's a pretty impressive repertoire.
Yeah, but it's like the character work is so much harder for guys. It's harder for them to grasp because, and I say this all the time, this is like an old school mentality, but I can do flips and tricks in the ring and everything the next match happens, you can give two shits about what I did.